I think in the UK at the moment, the politics of now is actually making it harder for people to actually sit down and actually think about gender in a way that will make them realize that it is not binary, because we live in such a binary world.
So, Jamie, thanks for joining us for Audible Sessions.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for having me.
And you've got a brand new book coming out.
Indeed. Terrifying. You're welcome for my book.
So it's called In Their Shoes. Can you start by telling me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so In Their Shoes, the title actually was arisen from my sister coming into my room at 4 a.m, being like, what about In Their Shoes? Because that was actually the hardest bit of writing the book, coming up with the title. It's about my experiences growing up, navigating the world, and kind of finding my identity. So it's kind of quite a broad look at being trans and being non-binary, but using my anecdotes and my kind of experiences through fashion, family, relationships, mental health, prejudice, all that kind of thing, and kind of discussing it quite broadly, but using my experience essentially, or my kind of tales. So I like to think of it as kind of a mild memoir, like a tiny one, but that's quite arrogant because I'm still about 12. So
maybe that's the mildness.
yeah,
Like the But can I just say, when you're 22, doesn't everyone say that you're 12?
well, yes, indeed. I mean, I still like to think I have my youthful demure.
The flow of the book takes you through so many different themes. So one of them that I wanted to touch on, that obviously, is a big thing in your life, is fashion.
Mm.
I wanted to ask, sort of, what are your, like, do you have any fashion icons, or are you just entirely just inspired by what you see around you and pick up things that suit you the best?
For me, kind of, instead of a person, it's more of a time. So like the 80s for me was really empowering, and I say it like I was there. Really inspirational, because it was a time where society was moving in a different way. Women were using fashion as a power source, and also as kind of a point to be able to be like, this is what I look like, and this is what I want from what I look like. It was very kind of meaningful. If you were to choose an icon, I often actually look to Her Royal Highness Princess Diana. That's not right. Her Royal Highness. She's dead. If anyone didn't know.
Spoiler.
Spoiler, she's dead. It's in the book. Because I was actually supposed to be, this is a great nugget of Jamie trivia. I was supposed to be born the day she died.
Really?
So I like to think I am her reincarnation.
I like
of
that.
sorts. Like anybody who uses their fashion to exude some form of political stance, but also a stance of like, I am here and you cannot tell me not to be here. That's kind of where my inspiration comes from.
You talk about in the book the sort of societal construction of how we see gender, and there even being a binary is such a societal construction. Have you seen any progress in that, in terms of breaking that down, or do you think it's still very much, if people are in that bubble, they'll see progress, but lots of people are still not willing to acknowledge that is literally just a construct?
Yeah, I think it comes with if you look at like the political stance we're in, or the movement that we're in, it's not just gender that is still often seen in this bubble of being something that is very liberal. Like what I always think is, if you go to someone outside of this bubble, say in Middle England, and you ask them about gender, they tend to have lots of other far right opinions. So it's all linked. It's all kind of linked to fascism. It's all linked to that kind of white supremacy. They're all interconnected because they all come from the same place. So the conversations are so formed into a debate that it means that their brain goes to, oh yeah, I've heard this is quite like a cool, new, trendy, weird thing. Do you know what I mean? They don't actually necessarily see it as something that they understand. They just know that it's something that is a liberal, you know, blob. Do you know, like, it's just something that they know is something that's very kind of now, which is not correct in any way. You know, the history of our identity is deeply rich and recorded, and it's about making sure that we acknowledge that and know that, and then try and hope that other people actually understand that, so they can begin to educate themselves rather than just read like the Daily Star or others.
So I wanted to sort of bring it a little closer to home as well, because in the book you talk about your upbringing and about your family. And one of the topics which I think will resonate with a lot of people for a lot of different reasons is around family approval.
Yeah.
And how much that is or isn't important to have like their approval of your decisions.
Yeah.
How have you got there to a point where you're able to separate yourself from like, I must be what my parents want me to be?
What I've learned, and I guess I've matured, is into realizing, although I don't need their approval, it doesn't mean I can't be open with them about things that I need to be open with them about. Sometimes it's, you think that if you are vulnerable with your parents, or you talk to them about your work or your relationships, or, you know, your mental health, that it's because you're asking for them to approve that and to kind of validify what you're going through. But actually, sometimes it's just support. So I think what I've learned is I still don't need their approval, but I need their compassion and I need their kindness. And I am very privileged to have that ability to be able to look to them for that. You know, a lot of the time, a lot of these stories are very turbulent, and I have a kind of fairly calm-ish situation with them. I wanted to convey that, but also show in the book that actually this advice on de-pedestaling that relationship with approval with your family is relevant for people with any family situation, because it means that you can then look for that support from somewhere else if you need to. They're all right. My mum's a bit miffed that she didn't make it in the acknowledgements, but I told her to try harder.
I feel like mums need that extra bit of centre of attention though.
Yeah, and she also wants a press copy, and I've told her that she will buy one, like everyone else, or buy the audiobook. Because I want those royalties. Thanks. Thank you very much, Sarah.